When you think about life on low income, what comes to mind? Do you think of men or women, or families with children? Do you think of work ethic and perseverance? Do you think it's about getting and keeping a job?
Student homelessness is on the rise. An increase in financial aid needs to be provided in order to help students not only have a good education but to have a home as well.
People sitting around in parks drinking beer, antagonizing mainstream Traverse City citizens to write letters of protest to Northern Express.
What kind of work ethic do you think people who live in poverty have?
A poor one because it's like if you work really hard and you try to do really good at your job, it makes you feel like you're not getting anywhere anyways because you're not getting anything out of it. Like me, when I work at Subway, I show up on time I show up early, and I do everything that I can do to get my job done, and I punch out late only because I stay and help the next person in. But I still get nothing out of it, so it's like you sit there and think, it's like, well, gee, what's the point, you know?
That they're lazy, that they're homeless, which are both terrible stereotypes. Let's see, that they aren't trying to better themselves, to better their lives, that there's nobody out there that cares.
Providing the students who do not have a home to go back to an option for free housing will help decrease the problem immensely. Many people think homelessness is due to a lack of jobs, but that's not the case. Job opportunities have increased throughout the year, yet homelessness is still a huge problem. Students are constantly having to choose between living in a home and getting a good education. College is already so expensive. Students still have to buy all of their supplies and necessities, so they try to obtain more financial aid. But it's not always that easy, especially with no support.
Nakia Parker knows poverty. She knows of struggles about bills and too little money. She knows about raising a family, working, and trying to get a better education because she's been there. Now she's out of poverty, and in addition to working as a nurse, she works as an advocate with Progress Village, a local poverty reduction organization. She's concerned about the misconceptions that others have of low-income people.
I'm particularly concerned about the myth that people who are living in poverty are lazy. That myth really bothers me because I know a lot of people who are living in poverty who are working as hard, if not harder, than people who are not living in poverty. And while there may be a select few people living in poverty who are lazy, the vast majority of them aren't, but everyone's getting colored with the same brush. It perpetuates the shame of living in poverty and makes people feel like they're doing something wrong or that the poverty that they're living in is their fault, when many times it's not. Another myth that really bothers me is the idea that if you work hard enough, you can get out, because it really isn't true. People work hard every day and they don't make any progress in their venture out of poverty, and it takes a lot of resources and a lot of help to get out of poverty. And when other people say that one person got out of poverty because they worked really hard at it, they're not looking at the whole story, because 9 times out of 10 that person did not get out of poverty simply because they worked really hard. They got out of poverty because they worked really hard and they had made the connections and the network to get out of poverty. and they also had opportunities that some people did not, and it sets a precedent that makes other people feel like they're failing if they're working hard but they're not making it out of poverty.
The smallest change could help decrease homeless rates of students, even by keeping college dorms open during breaks so students have somewhere to stay rather than out on the streets. Most people ignore the fact that there's homeless people living on the streets. They usually just walk by knowing that they have nothing.
People, I think, that have lived in poverty, have experienced it for themselves, will work harder because they know what it's like. They know what it's like to have nothing, and you never want to live without nothing. So I think they would work harder than your normal average person. So.
I think there's a stereotype that they're dirty, they're uneducated, that they are lacking in social skills, and I think there's stereotypes that are wrong. I think that anyone can overcome any obstacle with the proper motivation and given the chance, they can do anything.